it's one of the things that when I've talked about how in the past, I felt that Rich Rodriguez was very successful here at the University of Arizona. One of the pushbacks that I get from people on that was that when Rich Rodriguez was here, they never really played anybody in the non-conference. So they always had that 3-0 record because, you play the 3 non-conference games and usually those games are not against lower level competition. He always had that 3-0 record coming out of the non-conference. So really all you got to do at that point is win 3 games, 3 out of your 9 Pac-12 games at the time. You could go 3-6 in the Pac-12 and still qualify for a bowl game because you really didn't play anybody in the preseason. It's one of the reasons why I've always said that I prefer a non-conference schedule in which you can play one FCS team, and we do that every 2 years with Northern Arizona, and I think it's important for the Wildcats and the Sun Devils to continue that relationship in state here with Northern Arizona. I think you should always play a comparable FBS team to your situation. And when I say comparable, I'm talking about in terms of Arizona, teams like Indiana, Illinois from the Big Ten, the Mississippi States that we've seen Arizona play. They've played Iowa several times during my tenure here. Teams like that are comparable level of competition to you. You don't have to go out and schedule LSU, which they did during the Stoops years and got their brains beat in. You don't have to go out and schedule Penn State like they did the year after they won 12 games here in 1998, but schedule that comparable team from another, back in the day, Power 5, now Power 4 conference. A team from the ACC, a team like maybe a Vanderbilt from the SEC, a Missouri from the ACC. I'm not talking about going out and scheduling Alabama or any of those, Georgia, but schedule one of the other teams that's comparable to you in terms of competition level. That's one of the things I'd always said. And then I always felt like you should schedule a group of 5 team from one of the lower end Division I conferences, whether that's a San Diego State, whether that was a New Mexico or a New Mexico State. Regional games, I've always been a fan of regional games because I think those are good to play those teams that are close to you, that are on that level, Division I level as well. So that was a topic of conversation over the course of the last few days in terms of non-conference scheduling. First, I want you to hear what Kalani Sitake, they did some coaches roundtables this year. I don't think they did that last year in Las Vegas. I think this was that was something new this year where they had all the coaches of the day get up there and they had kind of a roundtable discussion.
One of my favorite aspects of this last few days.
Right.
Okay, I watched both of them, and the idea of it's like a political debate. So you have like a question from a moderator, and all 8 coaches on the stage all get to weigh in. So hearing all of their different thoughts on the singular questions of the day, transfer portal, NIL, it's a really, really good format.
Let's hear Kalani Sitake, what he said when they talked about this. So I believe he was on yesterday, correct? J-Dub, I believe. Kalani.
Correct. Yeah, he was the first head coach to go in yesterday's 8.
Right. This is when he was asked about non-conference scheduling yesterday.
Yeah, I think we got 3 non-conference games, and so why don't we just play the other 3 conferences for the 3 non-conference games? Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple, says Kalani Sitake. I like that. I mean, that's basically what I'm talking about, what I've been talking about for years. Play those other big leagues. Play teams from the Big Ten. Play teams from the ACC. Play teams from the SEC. That's the kind of non-conference football I think most of us want to see. Play those teams. Brent Brennan was asked about Kalani's proposal today. Here's what he had to say.
I love Kalani, but I tend to disagree with Kalani all the time. I'm just kidding. Kalani and I worked together a long time ago, and we're dear friends. But I would say I think anything that we can get on the same page where everybody in college football is doing the same thing, I'm all for that. So whether that's how we schedule, how we rev share, how we NIL, how we recruit, what the calendar is, what the like, I'm all for that. But the scheduling is done so far in advance, like I don't get to weigh in on those things normally. You know what I mean?
That's the other aspect, DK. Is
Right.
how far ahead of time are these schedules put together?
Right. I mean, and a lot of times, they're working on games now for 2033 and that type of thing. When Brennan might not even be here in 2033, so you're essentially working on the next coach's schedule. But I think there's a good point there. There's a very good point there that. Now, I'll repeat what I said earlier. I think in terms, the problem that you're going to run into here is you're going to ice out the FCS schools. And I think part of that has always been because you see Ohio State. Ohio State plays a lot of those games in state. They'll play the Akrons and the Kent States and all of those to give those teams again. That's a very good payday for those smaller programs that they need. So I don't want to necessarily see those relationships and those opportunities for the mid-majors to go away, because I think it's very important to their health. And I think we have to look at the health of the game as a totality and not just the health of the game as it relates to the bowl subdivision, whatever we call it now. So I want to see that continue, but I don't know that you need to play 3 of those games.